Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw Brisbane go back to back, demolishing the Cats. I couldn't be happier. Probably the second best result of the year. It's Collingwood winning the flag, and then probably Brisbane beating Geelong. Pretty happy about that. I just love to see Geelong lose. This week is our season recap episode where we'll be giving our thoughts on the grand final and our way to early 2026 predictions. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton Superfan from Perth.
Yeah,
Welcome, Cass. How you feeling, mate? Where are we? And how'd you feel about that, Granny?
yeah. So I'm just in Fremantle at the moment,
Mm.
so got far away as possible from the MCG. But yeah, no, just over here for a bit of a holiday. But yeah, feeling good. Great grand final. I think when you look at it, like compare it to maybe the last few, definitely a great grand final.
Yeah, we'll get into it. If you're new to the channel, I'm not sure why this would be the first video you're watching, but if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. This will be the last episode of the season, so please give us a sub there and like this video if you can as well. We're also active on TikTok, on X, and on Instagram, so give us a follow on those as well as we wrap up this season. Also, a reminder to please gamble responsibly moving forward. Let's jump into the grand final, man. Like, let's get straight into it. Geelong 75, Brisbane 122. Brisbane plus 10.5. They cover as road dogs. I think that's 6-2. No, 6-2 straight up as road dogs and 7-1 against the spread, I believe. So just an insane road team, especially as road dogs. What were your thoughts on the granny, man? Like, give us your thoughts. Give us what you were feeling throughout the game.
No, I think like I watched it back as well. I think the intensity that game had was through the roof, like from the get-go as well. Like from the first quarter, and like even the commentators were talking about it. It was just high intensity footy, and it's sort of what you want to see from like in a grand final as well. I think Geelong, I'm not too sure what happened. It's almost like a rare sight for them to concede that many goals there in that last quarter and a bit. But yeah, they sort of just couldn't get any control of the ball. Brisbane just had them in all sorts. Absolutely outcoached. But yeah, it was a really good matchup in terms of like the scoreline was so close for the first three quarters, which yeah, like we haven't seen in a while, and yeah, a bit of a blowout in the end there. But you don't mind it. I feel like if you see the first three quarters of good footy, then it's like whatever happens in the last quarter, that's what happens.
Yeah, dude, like it was I feel like it was on Geelong's turn for probably the first 5 to 10 minutes, and you're like, oh, Geelong probably look like they might roll here. They look like the better team. But Brisbane were just hanging around, hanging around. They had some opportunities, but they didn't like score from them. But then, we saw ebbs and flows where Brisbane would kick a couple, get in front, and then Geelong would kick a couple, get in front. Like it kept it ebbing and flowing. I think at halftime, like all the stats were like even. They showed that crazy side by side comparison, and like it
Yeah,
was just crazy. And like that, and then everyone was like, okay, we're in for a great grand final here. And I think yeah, so we're both on Geelong and catching points. I was really happy. I was like, okay, we're getting over a goal here. And if the game was close, then I know I picked Geelong in a close one, but um, I just felt like I said leading up, like I faded Geelong every game. I think I didn't jump on them at all in the finals. Made it all up in this game, but I said I haven't played anyone in ages, and then we saw a game where it was close, it was tight. And then, like, I felt like that's what sort of caught up to them there. Whereas this Brisbane side, this seasoned Brisbane side who'd be there before. That's why I said all year long. I said three teams could win the flag. I said Collingwood, Giants, and then Brisbane because they've been there before and they can do it. Not that the Cats couldn't win this game, but I just felt like this Brisbane side they were seasoned and they were getting points on the road. There's no MCG hoodoo for them anymore. Like they were, yeah, they were obviously the side on the day, but yeah, I don't think anyone would have predicted a Brisbane blowout. And to be fair, it wasn't really a blowout for most of it. Like I felt like it was quite evenly contested. Um, but yeah, Geelong's. big time players didn't really show up. But Holmes was good. Nothing out of danger. We'll get into that pick that I gave out last week a bit later on, but not much from Smith. Cameron obviously broke his arm, that had that crazy tackle, but other than that, we didn't really have an impact even before we got injured. Yeah, no one, and we saw that Stengel when he was going for that marking contest sort of shy away from a little bit. Don't know if you remember that. Whereas Brisbane's players, like McCluggage stood up. Neil, obviously, when he came on super sub, stood up. Ashcroft, obviously, Norm Smith stood up. So even Logan Morris didn't have a great numbers game, but it was in every contest, sort of nullified the Geelong backs. It looked like they really missed Stewart back there, and obviously Harris Andrews, man, like could have definitely got the Norm Smith there. He just had a monster game, just a completely monstered Neil. Yeah, had no chance. So yeah, I felt like Lions won it upstairs as well. Yeah, Chris Scott. And we also said last time like that's why the script sort of flips when they play in the qualifying final to when they play in the grand final. You can see like everything that worked for Geelong sort of Brisbane were able to adjust, whereas it's hard to adjust in game. Yeah, and that's why we love this competition, man. Like we saw a few weeks ago, Geelong blew out Brisbane, and this time Brisbane blows out Geelong at the same ground. So
Yeah.
that's why we love betting these dogs. That's why we love yeah, this sport really. What do you think about Geelong's coach Chris Scott talking about at the end of the game about the sub? I don't know, man. I was so happy to see Geelong lose. I hate coach press conferences. I watched all of Chris Scott's one, mate. It was just a hate watch of the press conference because I don't know. It wasn't sooking, but it was a little bit of like. As in, I don't know. Everyone sort of puts him on some pedestal, like he's some sort of god. He has two flags in what, like 15 years. I don't know. Yep, they're
Yeah.
consistent, they're good, but I don't know. And you're getting a home grand final as a Victorian side. You're getting a huge edge. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think well, I think it was a bit sooky. I feel like, that probably wasn't, if you didn't want to come across as sooky, then that's probably not the time and place for it.
Yeah, I agree.
You get interviews how many times a day, but yeah, I feel like that wasn't the time and place for it. It just sounded a bit sooky, and I feel like that was on them. Like, Jeremy Cameron, if you know your hand's broken, you know your hand's broken, right? Like you have doctors, you have physios there, like you can figure it out. So that was on. I feel like that's on them for like making that call. And then yeah, he had to play out the game on a broken arm. But yeah, that's why I wasn't really a fan of it in terms of his comments. But yeah, it's sort of funny to see. You always see him making these comments about like the rules and the games.
It just
But
feels
yeah,
like when he talks, it just feels like he feels like he's better than everyone else.
yeah,
That's what I don't really like about him. Whereas, and everyone sort of like allows him to do it as well. It's like, oh, Chris Scott said this, oh, it must mean something, mate. Like, yep, you have you coached a consistent team, and I feel like they've been a bit lucky with the how their draft picks, and maybe it's a credit to the development program and how they're able to develop these random picks and turn them into real players. That's fair enough, but I don't know. They walk out there always with a great side and star players, like Smith, Cameron, like Holmes. These are star players. Dangerfield, my buddy Brownlow Millis. And yeah, can't get the job done when it matters the most. In September. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest Chris Scott fan, as you can see, but whatever. I guess we'll move on. I guess we'll talk. Well, we'll talk about the Norm Smith. I think I gave out Dempsey. It wasn't a terrible pick. I'd make that bet again next week. He was probably the Geelong's second or third best player. He had 4 goals in the end, a couple in junk time, but he kicked the first goal. I said from the goal scorer he was going to kick a goal, and he did. And he kicked another couple goals as well. And yeah, I think he wrapped up low 20s, maybe, or maybe 18. But he was quite good. Holmes was probably the best player. Yeah, Bose was pretty good. But yeah, obviously the Brisbane players were, or a lot of them surpassed him. Yeah, Ashcroft gets it. Wouldn't be mad if they get like if I feel like if it was would probably Harris Andrews probably was more deserving. Probably, I don't know. I don't know. Can you get an Smith off a after being a sub? Like he only had 17, but was probably the most impactful player when he came on. McCluggage was really good again.
unbelievable stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Bailey could have had it if he kicked a bit straighter. What do you think about Ashcroft going back to back?
Yeah, look, I didn't mind it. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I do think Harris Andrews maybe deserves a little bit more, but I think it's one of those things where you see the midfielder a little bit more, and you see maybe a bit more how they impact the game. So that's probably why it went to him. But yeah, I don't think Harris Andrews was too far behind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one thing I would say with Ashcroft is he has a lot of support in the midfield with like obviously Neil McCluggage, Bailey, Rayner, or
yeah,
Dunkley, a bunch of guys. Whereas Dacos is just him take really. Like I know he has Pendles and like to go on one leg. I'm just saying with all the people making the comparisons, a little bit more helpful W Ashcroft, but fair enough to him.
mm,
Definitely deserves it, I guess. It also just shows that, Collingwood beating this Brisbane side a couple of years ago is pretty impressive now. Like we stopped the three-peat in the end. I'm just saying it's a pretty impressive win.
all right,
They
yeah.
literally blown out two teams after
Let's
that.
move on. Yeah,
I'm just saying. All right, fine, let's move on. We'll talk about the total. Oh my goodness. Absolutely brutal beat. Like we were both on the under at halftime. It was not really a sweat. Like three-quarter time, it's 46 to 3, 107 points, and then we got completely backdoored there. Brisbane kicked 9 goals, five in the last, and Geelong kicked 5 goals on their own. I think I said last week, if you think it's going to be a blowout, go with the over. This is why, because in grand finals, if you're losing, you don't really care. Like that's it. You just don't want to get injured. You want to go for next year, really. Whereas and you'd also play like super attacking because you have literally nothing to lose. Um, and then yeah, you just pile on. So we thought it would be a closer game. We called it exactly right and for three quarters. And then yeah, floodgates blew open. I think I messaged you with like 5 minutes to go. I was like, "Oh, this is a sweat." And then with 2 minutes to
yeah.
go, I was dead. Like it was brutal. What do you think of the total? I thought we were unlucky.
Oh, super unlucky. I think we totaled up just before they were at like 100, just over 100 at three-quarter time.
107, yeah,
Yeah, so they needed like just under 60 odd points, just over 60 odd points, to actually cover the overs and somehow kick 14 goals in a quarter, which it's a bit of a heartbreaker.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess that's what happens. You can't predict these games. I was so confident in the first half. I was like, oh, no sweat here. But yeah, I guess it just came back to bite us in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bad luck, I'd say. I'd say, I don't know. If they play the game 100 times, maybe we're probably tighter for most of it for most of those iterations. We'll talk about our picks from last week, our favorite props. You had Brad Close kicking 2 plus. Wasn't I didn't really see him on my TV screen.
Oh mate, I don't know if I think he was just on the bench the whole game. I
Oh
didn't
man, he
see him.
was complete non-factor. A lot like the other Geelong players. I had Patrick Dangerfield under 20 and a half disposals, finished with 10, not a sweat at all. Probably my biggest sweat of the day, so I was really happy with that one. That was, yeah, again, not a sweat. It was just a classic fade after a generational game. It was I guess, pretty easy play in the end. But yeah, not a sweat at all. I think he had four in the first
Yeah,
quarter, and then that was his best quarter. And I was like, okay, I
yeah, finished with
not
10.
to
Yeah.
finish with 10, like, yeah, yeah, really easy. Um, we'll move on to what we think about these teams next year. So, how are you gonna judge these teams? So, I guess we'll start with the Premiers, Brisbane. I think last year, obviously they won the premiership, and then I think on the podcast last year, I said I'd be looking to fade them, but then when I dug into the numbers at the start of the season, I said, hold on, they had a really bad season in the regular season, and I'm gonna be all over this Brisbane side. I went with the overs. What do you see with this Brisbane side moving forward? Are you going to fade them next year? How are you going to play them?
I think it would be a bit hard to fade him. I feel like if you were going to fade him, it would have to have been this year. Like we always see the trend, you win the premiership, you regress a little bit, but then you bounce right back. But like what they've done is they've just 3 years in a row now, they've sort of proved themselves to be a team worth fighting. Yeah, I mean, in terms of next year, I think it depends. They have a few players that might look at leaving. I think what's his name? Zach Bailey
Archie.
might be one of them. Yeah,
Oh, Zach
Archie.
Bailey. Oh, yep, yep.
Yeah, I think there's
Starcevich.
Mm. So there's a few players like in that like best 22 that are looking at moving, and it'll definitely leave a bit of a hole. Like you look at how much like how Bailey can change the game, just by kicking a couple goals, how that excites the whole team. So I think you can definitely make an impact. But if they can lock in those few players, I think they're ready to go next year as well. And I think they'll be ready to prove to the rest of the competition again. Just like we're here, we're a dynasty. Like bring it on.
Yeah. Yeah, they might get Oscar Allen and they might get Draper as well. So I
Yeah,
feel like after those additions, I feel like over the course of the season, I'd probably fade him next year. Especially again, I think we're going to be fading him at the Gabba again next year. I feel like we've done it
yeah,
the last 2 years. I feel like it's going through. There's no reason to suggest that they're not going to be overvalued at the Gabba again. Like it's not like the
mm,
market's going to be like, oh, they won the premiership. Let me, they're going to adjust to them at the Gabba, right? So.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but again, as road dogs, I mean, do they regress a little bit because they won against all these good teams on the road? Does a little bit of regression come out? Obviously, it depends on the number. If this number is like what 16, then I'm probably going to be looking at the unders. But if it's like I don't know, if it's 14, 13, probably more of a stay away there. What about Geelong? So for me with Geelong regular season, they're just always good. They're really good as home favourites this year. I don't have a great read on this Geelong side. It doesn't feel like a bad spot. Like with Sydney, I was really confident they'd regress, and they did. But with this Geelong side, I don't really have that same confidence about them regressing. I feel like they're always good. I feel like they'll probably be there and thereabouts again next year. What do you think about Geelong?
Yeah, I think with the list that they have, I don't see them, fading too much. But yeah, I'm not sure if an extra year into these players would either, obviously they've got a very old lineup. Whether their age would affect them. But they also do have quite a few young blokes that are, developing really well. Another year into, the midfield mix between like Holmes and Bailey Smith, like how that might affect them
Mm.
positively. So yeah, might just build their chemistry a little bit. But yeah, like you said, it's a bit of a hard read. I wouldn't say they're going to regress too much.
Yeah, again, we'll see what the numbers is when that all comes out. But we'll talk about our records for the last time this year. So you go 1-0, finish off strong, 63 and 66, 49% against the spread for the year. Not bad, just a bit under 500. You were a lot better than last year. Last year was a shocker, but now coming this year, you've improved. What have you sort of found this year, and how are we going to go moving forward?
Yeah, I think last year I was just really reactive. If I was reactive, but I was also late to hop on,
Mm,
teams that were against the spread. So yeah, I think that really affected me. And yeah, I sort of just stuck to what I know. This time round, didn't really change my methods. Long term winner. I think at the start it was a bit of a struggle, but um, eventually just sort of stuck to it. I obviously had like what 6 weeks ago in 2 and 3.
yeah.
And then some of those, were just so unlucky, where, maybe like a couple points and I would have gone 3 and 2.
Mm.
But yeah, I think obviously a bit of luck, but also just sticking to my methods, helped me out a lot more this year.
Yeah, I'd say it's really difficult, I guess, if you bet like us and you on these professional sides with the gap in between the good teams and the bad teams. Like you want the competition to be as even as possible, but when there's this big gap and we jump on West Coast and North Melbourne and Richmond and Essendon and all these terrible teams because that's where the value is. And so when there's a big gap, it's sort of really difficult sometimes. Like it'd be a great spot, but these teams are so bad. You can see like this West Coast side was so bad, and we are quick to jump off them. So I'm glad we didn't get burnt too much by West Coast. But yeah, and obviously we're fading these other teams. So the gap in competition really made it difficult. I felt like this year. In saying that, I go 1-0, finished the season 75 and 54, 58% against the spread. So I think one better than last year. So if I'm not anything, I'm consistent, right? So I'm pretty happy with all the roller coaster ride. Like last year, I didn't have a single 0-5 or 5-0 week, but ended up at 74. This year I had an 0-5 week, then I had four 5-0 weeks. So it was a
Yeah,
lot more, up and down, less consistent. probably prefer the first year to be honest. But yeah, I think I was 43 and 42 at one stage, and then I caught on fire there. So a really good finish to the season. 58% against the spread, taking that every day over the week. I would just say pros go 56% against the spread. I'm hoping next year the competition is a little more even. We can get even better result. And man, did I have some bad beats. Oh my God. Like how many times was I on the end of like a miracle bad beat? And like
Yeah,
I can't think of a single one that went my way. I'm thinking the Naz one. I'm thinking the Brisbane versus Western Bulldogs. I'm thinking Melbourne versus Richmond. I'm thinking Sydney versus Western Bulldogs. Oh, you don't think about the ones you win. You think the ones that you lose like that, they stay in your mind for
Mhm.
a very long time. But generally, I feel like I had some bad luck as well. So to finish where I did, I was pretty happy with that. Hopefully, next year we can improve and be a little bit better there. Let's move into the rule changes. A couple of rule changes are coming next year. I don't know if they're going to really affect anything. So there's not going to be a centre bounce anymore, sure. And there's not going to be a sub rule. So is that kind of good? Because they'll. I don't know if they're going to introduce five onto the bench now. And so it kind of, I guess, favors teams if they have an injury on the day. What do you sort of make of these rule changes?
Yeah, some people I don't mind. I'm pretty sure they're going to a five-man bench. So to still be like your best 23 on the
Okay.
day. Yeah, and then the bounce, I don't know. I feel like that's always like, you always build up the te like, the tensional leads to like that first bounce of the game, whether it's like a big game, like, season opener, Richmond Carlton, or if it's a grand final, Collingwood Carlton, like that first bounce,
Yeah.
there's so much like, you know,
So are they getting rid of
tension
that as
built
well?
up. Yeah, but
Oh, wow.
no
Okay.
bounces, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Which like I wouldn't mind if they did like first bounce of each quarter,
Yeah.
or like, yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Yep.
And then after every goal, just throw it up. I don't mind that, but yeah, I feel like getting rid of the bounce completely, like that's, I don't know, such a huge part of the game.
Yeah,
Not really a
man.
huge part of the game, but it's just like it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah,
affect
yeah. I
you.
get it. I get it. Yeah, in terms of, I don't think it's going to affect any spreads in any way. Maybe, I don't know, if teams are banged up on the day, maybe live betting. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, no real reads from this point of view. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They'll probably bring the one where there's no throw-ins. Um, from between the arcs and it's like last kick out or last handball out, unless it's like a marking contest. I think they have that in South Australia, so I think they might bring that in as well. I think
Mm,
there was, I mean, they kind of do that now anyway. So,
yeah, yeah.
all right. Well, now we'll talk about one team that you think will slide down or have a bad year as compared to expectation, and one team you think will slide up. So this is where last year we gave out the Adelaide Crows, and lo and behold, they finished first on the ladder. Cuss, what's one team you think will slide down from where they were this year?
Wait, let me get up the ladder real quick.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so we've got the top eight here. A team that
It
will
could also be a
slide.
team that's not in the top eight, but you think will have a worse
Yeah.
year than you the market would suggest.
Mm. Oh, this is tough. I don't want to say like Gold Coast or anything. I feel like they've got a good thing building.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Frio.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Frio are Giants.
Free Giants. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like they might slide a little bit. Maybe not like.
Which one? Pick one.
All right, I'll pick one. I'm gonna say Giants.
Okay. Why?
I think the Giants will slide a little bit. They won't be like bottom four, bottom five, but I think they'll miss out on the top eight. Miss out on finals next year.
Yeah, defensively, I guess they weren't great, but offensively, I don't know. There's always so they can win these random games. But yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna go with an easy one. I'm gonna go with Adelaide. Like
Oh, okay,
they had the best season ever. I know they're first on the
yeah,
ladder, so
yeah.
it's pretty easy fade.
That's almost the
Um,
obvious one. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I know it's obvious, but like, um, I guess looking at the numbers, what the Winter was 12 and a half. So like, I think it's a pretty easy fade. But I'll give another one. I'm gonna say Richmond. I'm gonna fade Richmond next year. They were really good this year. No one expect
yeah.
them to win a bunch of those games where I think they ended up on like 5 wins. Depending on what their win total is, I don't know. I feel like this team sort of, I don't know, could be the public darling. Maybe a couple of people might pick them to win a final or something, or make it to the eight potentially. If you want to go with some upside, so yeah, I don't know if their number's like 6 or 7.5, then I'd be happy to go under there. Who's one team that you think will sort of shoot up the ladder and have a better season
Tigers,
next year?
mate.
Who?
Tigers,
There you go. There we
please,
go.
please.
I'd
And,
actually
and, and,
I don't hate it,
and it,
man. Like I know I
they
said,
have, they, there's no way they don't climb here. Like, we've been playing decent footy. It's just this year, complete shit. Energy in the club was bad. I feel like, all right, maybe we do get rid of Kerno. I don't know if that's even possible with like the trades that we can bring up, but yeah, I think we've got quite a few good young players coming in. I think, yeah, Jagger Smith, and then we also got Walker. What's his name? Some,
I
I
don't
forgot
know.
his name. Walker. He's like top draft
Mm.
prospect. So he's coming in as well under the father son. So I think yeah, a good amount of young people coming in, but just yeah, I think another year into like those inexperienced young players might like help us a little bit. And then yeah, I think this year was just a year to forget. That was terrible to watch.
Yeah, season from hell this year. So definitely, I know I said last year I'm going to be all over Carlton next year. I'm not going to shove it down everyone's throat though this time around. I'm not going to make everyone else do the same thing I'm doing. But I'm just best believe I will be on Carlton next year. Um,
Silently, yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna tell everyone this time. Another I'm looking at. I'm probably looking at Essendon to be honest. Like I felt like they were banged up this year. What's their number going to be heading into next year? I feel like everyone's sort of sold on this Essendon team. Still have a lot of really good players. And again, another easy one, West Coast. Like I'm going to be all over West Coast next year. They had a season from hell again. Um, but yeah, I think I said this last year. There's one team that I'm looking for that I've made a bet to win the premiership next year, and I will reveal that in the first episode of next year. So little bit of incentive. I don't know. You can sleep on it for 6 months, and then yeah. But there's one team who I'm going to be all over next year. Kind of similar to how we were all over Adelaide last year. There's one team this year, coming up next year, who I feel like I need to look into it a little bit more just to make sure everything's lined up. But oh man, I'm gonna love this team. Can't wait. Again, I'll give you a clue. It is a Victorian team.
Of
Um,
course.
any guesses?
Um, Carlton, Collingwood.
No comment. No comment. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find out
Yeah, yeah,
next year. All right then, man. I guess we'll wrap it up there. I guess I'll let you say some closing thoughts here before I give a nice big thank you to everyone.
yeah. I think also from my end, just a massive thanks to everyone who did tune in. It's been a long year, lots of ups and downs. Um, but yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed sort of tuning into two blokes that just love talking about footy and money. But yeah, good season. A bit more to improve on from my point of view. You consistently well, but I'm sure you were going to want to improve a little bit as well. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I just want to thank everyone just for tuning in. If you have been tuning in every week and you made it this far, especially this far into the episode as well, just yeah, thank you so much for all your support. Like we've obviously gained quite a few followers this year, especially on that crazy heater. So yeah, like again, this is just all about long term winners. We're just giving our picks. Obviously, we want to encourage everyone jump on them responsibly. Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more at the start of next season. Some pointers and how to go about this stuff. But yeah, super fun every week, just coming in, and yeah, giving our picks and just saying your picks awful, and then you giving me some slack as well for my picks. And then looking back, yeah, we put our reputation on the line. Obviously, we come out with these flamboyant statements, and then we're just like, oh, look like a egg on your face next week, or you look the smartest guy in the world. So, yeah, again, it's just about long term winners.
Yeah,
We've been doing this for a while. We have a bunch of data, so yeah, just trust us. Yeah, big thanks to our editor as well, who's probably not watching this part, but who's edited our videos every week. So big thanks to you. And yeah, everyone for tuning in as well. I don't know. I'm. It's NFL season now. If you want some of my NFL picks, Cus isn't full into it. I've been trying to get him into it for a few years now. So if you want, I might do a couple episodes just randomly off the cuff, just giving my NFL picks. If you want that, please let me know, and I will provide. I'm happy to provide my insights on that. NFL are way harder than AFL. AFL is probably one of the easiest games to bet, if I'm being honest. NFL is way harder, but. If you want my picks, then please let me know, and I can I don't know, might put out a couple of random videos here and there. Keep the account running as well. Yeah, as a reminder, if you haven't already done so, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to our channel. And we will be back at the start of next year to break down all the season win totals for the non-Victorian teams and Victorian teams. So keep an eye out for that, and that's when we will reveal our picks and my grand final prediction. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining. And until next year, see you later.